Hi, I'm Mike Rosehart, and I'm Canada's youngest early retiree. At only 25 years old, I have an awesome young family, and I'm obsessed with all things personal finance, real estate, and investing. I started on this journey to freedom over 8 years ago at the age of 17 in my first year of university, without a penny to my name. By the age of 24, I had unlocked financial independence and retired early after grinding in the trenches as an analyst in the corporate world. And this is my story. I started from humble beginnings. In fact, I was born in London, Ontario, Canada in 1992. And my parents, they split up when I was about a year old. And my mom, we moved away from London, and we moved to a town called Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. And from there, I had a really difficult childhood. My mom, being a single mom, had a lot of difficulties in working for minimum wage and trying to put food on the table. I remember us moving a lot as a kid, and once my brother was born, her trying to support 2 children, it was just so difficult as a kid. I remember feeling like there was never money there when we needed it, and it was always, happiness was tied to payday. And so growing up, there was a cycle of when we have money, things are good, we can have food, we can have fun, we can go places and do things. But when there's no money and we can't pay the bills, things were very stressful. And so this led to a bit of insecurity combined with the fact that we moved a lot. And so as a kid, I moved, we've been moving around. I went to several different schools. I think I probably moved 20 times in my childhood. And bouncing around from school to school, it's difficult to establish good friendships. When you can't bring your friends home with you because of the place you live, when you go to school with dirty clothes and without a great lunch, and the teachers ask questions, it's very difficult to fit in. Let's fast forward now. As a kid, I'm growing up, I'm learning about things like the importance of money and how not having any sucks. But by high school, right, I'm 13 years old, I met some great friends. And a lot of those friends came from, average middle class and well-to-do families. And I learned that those people didn't have to worry about the same sorts of things that I had to worry about. And that at that time, I discovered the secret to success was financially based. And so I was very much motivated by wanting to elevate and escape from my situation. So at 13, I got really big into gaming. I saved up, worked cutting lawns for neighbors, trying out some entrepreneurial ventures to make a little bit of money, and I bought my first computer. And I got internet for the first time at 13 years of age. And I went on the internet and I discovered games like World of Warcraft, Age of Mythology, Age of Empires 3, Diablo, Star Wars Galaxies Online, all of these amazing games. And I played these games 14, 15 hours a day. And I got really good because I spent so much time and invested so heavily in this escape. I would look around and our house was very poor, unmaintained, and it was messy. And so, but when I was in the game, I was on the same level playing field as everyone else. And so MMORPGs and online gaming allowed me to escape the reality. And that was the start, I think, for me in realizing how the economy of the world worked. Because in those games like MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft, there is actually an economy that's existing in that game. And I learned to master that economy and understood basic concepts like supply and demand. And all of this started from gaming, believe it or not. I know a lot of people talk about the negatives of gaming. There are a ton of positives associated with gaming. And fast forward, maybe now I'm 15, turning 16. I met my girlfriend, now wife, almost actually 10 years ago in about a month. And we started dating and things got very serious very quickly. I was over at her place a lot of the time. And with my first job at Tim Hortons, I was making minimum wage. But I worked 20, 30 hours a week while in high school full time. And this cash allowed me to realize that I could save and I could begin investing even in small things like an RESP in Canada. I opened my own registered education savings plan and the government matched 20% of every dollar I contributed, which was huge. A lot of people have their parents open these for them, but I opened my own and realized I could save and contribute to my own RESP. And at that time I realized university and college, I figured university and college would be my escape. It would allow me to get away at 17 and elevate and work in the corporate world and grind up to become a CEO or some sort of rich executive. And I thought that was the secret. A lot of money meant a lot of happiness. And then I turned it up. My grades went from like 77 in high school to 95%. I went from near perfect on every exam. I studied very hard. I joined a lot of clubs and I made it my sole mission to get into the Richard Ivey School of Business. And I did that. I successfully got into Western University and the Richard Ivey School of Business with early AEO acceptance. And at 17, I moved to London, Ontario, and it was then in the dorm rooms in my first year that I discovered this topic called early retirement and financial independence. And it became my sole mission that I was going to become the earliest retiree. I was going to fast forward and work as hard as I had to unlock financial independence and retire early. At a desk similar to this one, about 8 years ago, I discovered Financial Independence, Retiring Early. And it was on the blog Early Retirement Extreme, written by Jacob Lundfisker. Shortly after that, I discovered Mr. Money Mustache. Pete Adney has some fantastic content as well. And the two of those guys became my mentors. I absorbed everything I could get my hands on related to financial independence and retiring early. I found this new movement, back then they didn't call it the FIRE movement, but basically the FIRE movement. And I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be retired. I wanted to travel the world and do all the things that I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to have to work in a job that I didn't enjoy. And I hadn't found a job yet that I thought would be enjoyable. And in fact, going to work every day from 8 to 5 felt like quite a chore. But this time, I'm still focused at 17 years old and doing the best I can in school, applying for a lot of scholarships and bursaries. And I got a lot of great scholarships and bursaries because I studied and got really good grades, and I worked really hard on the essays for the applications. And in fact, a few people took a chance on supporting me through school. And so that was one of the big things, as well as always having a part-time job. I worked continuously. There was never a time where I didn't have at least a side hustle and a part-time job. If I finished a course, I would then go ahead and tutor for that course at $25 an hour on the side. If I figured out how to do, how to buy textbooks on Kijiji, I'd resell them for more money. Or I pick up a side hustle, like in the summers, I started a couple of businesses. Some of them failed, some of them were successful. Plus, I worked full time. So coming out of my first year of university, very, very motivated to get into Ivy in my third and fourth years and get a really good job, because I understood that the secret to retiring early was really simple. All I had to do was earn an average salary. The higher the better, obviously, but there was certainly a minimum threshold, let's call it $30,000 a year in income. So if I could get above that, and ideally as high as possible, and then live extremely frugally, which, by the way, I was really used to, so I was just good at finding deals, and that's been sort of something I've honed and got better at as time went on, especially when I got into real estate. But the key thing was focusing on how do I make this gap as big as I possibly can, and I taught myself how to trade when I turned 18, and I was trading. But honestly, the returns I was getting, if you have a couple $1,000s invested and you're getting 10 or 20 or 30% growth, there isn't much impact to your overall net worth. And so I figured out that, if I could work for a summer and save $10,000, that was way more impactful than trying to take $1,000 and double it. All I would make was $1,000 and it'd be the same amount of energy and effort. So the key piece was earning as much as I possibly could. I was focused on joining clubs that I could have an impact on and build the resume. That was my sole focus, as well as working part-time and then full-time in the summers. So I built that resume so I could get the good full-time jobs. I worked everywhere from Tim Hortons. I worked for the Western University Work-Study program. I did some tutoring on the side. My first summer, I worked for Canada Border Services Agency as a commercial analyst. And that was key because it paid fairly well. It paid, $15, $16 an hour, which was fantastic compared to what minimum wage was at the time, around $9 or $10. So that was a great job. Got 40 hours a week, worked in the corporate environment, and got a feel for what it felt like to work for government. And I realized that working in government wasn't for me. But come second year, started my own hood and vent cleaning business, which was somewhat successful and ended up being sold for a bit of a break even. But I also worked as a teller at a member services credit union. And so working at the credit union taught me how to interact with different people and talk about personal finance. And I already had a huge passion and interest for this. So great summer jobs throughout school. Just coming out of, I would have been second year, so I'm 19 now, I bought my first rental property. And we had saved aggressively for this, scholarships, working income. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, she had also saved some money up. She was working as a residence advisor and saving that money up. And we had kind of, between the two of us, each saved about $18,000, and it was between the next school year. So I had that tuition saved up I was going to be using for that year. And I got a line of credit, student line of credit, so I could use the money I had for the down payment on the property, the 20% down payment. And then I could float the year's tuition on credit and pay it off throughout the year in the following summer. I lived in an apartment for $299 a month, all including internet, utilities, everything. And so That was one of the key success factors, that I was always so frugal and focused on keeping my living expenses very low. Most kids were spending, $12,000 to $15,000 a year on living expenses, and I was spending $4,000 a year on living expenses, just being very frugal and optimizing to save everything and invest as much as I possibly could. And that gave me a huge edge. Coming into getting my first property, I learned how to house hack. So I renovated the house and rented out unused portions of the house. I put a basement apartment in the lower, converted it from a 2-bed, 1-bath house to a 4-bed, 3-bath with a nanny suite apartment. So that allowed me to pay the whole mortgage, property taxes, and utilities, and I lived for free. So my 3rd and 4th year, I had no living costs at all. And that was very key in order to graduating school debt-free. And we did actually get married in 2014, so that was sort of an exciting thing. We graduated school and we got married. And so I graduated at 21 years of age, and I'd already had a positive net worth since I'd renovated the first property that I bought at 19. I had created a ton of equity in the property. So I'd made $30,000 in equity, plus over my entire 4 years in school and the 2 years before that working, I'd probably earned into the 6 figures in part-time minimum wage jobs as well as good summer jobs. I was very much determined and focused on my goal of, reaching freedom. I wanted financial independence more than I wanted water, more than I wanted beer, more than I wanted anything, more than I wanted sleep. And that's why I was able to do it, because I was so determined. That's the key success factor, is hard work. When most people are sleeping and relaxing, you have to be working that 10% harder, that 20% harder. And whatever you do in your life, that is the key determinant for probability of success. That's how you mitigate risk in investing in real estate and investing in general, is putting in the hard work and the time. And that isn't the most sexy thing to sell you, but it's replicatable. We're at 21 years of age, I've graduated school, I took a job as an analyst, I was making $50,000 a year in salary. Now, my girlfriend at the time, she graduated a year early. She went to college, which in Canada is only a 3-year program. And so she graduated a year earlier. She'd been working and saving aggressively. We were living on almost nothing. Since our house hack scenario, our $30,000 or $40,000 that we put into the down payment of this house to buy it, this $200,000 property, allowed us to basically live for almost nothing. So we were saving around, I think at that time, maybe about 80 to 85% of her salary, net of taxes, and 100% of every single paycheck I got went right into savings. And so we were building up this massive savings. Within a year, we had saved, with her salary at $36,000 and mine at $50,000, we had saved, around $80,000 since we had a bunch of tax education credits. When you take university, you can write off that education credit against your income tax. You can contribute to your RSP and reduce your tax burden. There are ways, if you're renovating a property, you can use those losses on maintenance and repairs to offset your day job income. So I use that to offset tax. So I almost had no tax burden in the first 2 years. And so we saved aggressively, and I'm talking 90% savings rate, and that was the key thing. And then invested that, and we bought our next rental property, I think maybe a year and a half into working full time. I'd saved up enough to buy 1 or 2 more rental properties. And I bought a second rental property. I learned how, to fix it up, put in a lot of hard work. It was sort of, real estate was like my side hustle. So I could take, I could work my 9 to 5 day job, grind in the corporate world at a job I didn't enjoy. And I realized, as soon as I started that job, I think in the second week I came home and said, wow, there isn't a job out there that I'm going to enjoy working for someone else. I need to be an entrepreneur, or I need to be financially independent. We had a good lifestyle in the sense that, I'm a gamer, and so I still did a bit of gaming when I had time. But, we would like to watch a lot of movies, and there are a lot of things that we did we had frugal habits. We go for walks, go for bike rides. A lot of the things that I did, hang out with friends, were all frugal activities. And I surrounded myself with the right people who also enjoyed those types of behaviors and those types of activities. And so I was able to continue to live very frugally while working. And by the second rental property, I think, was in, maybe 2015. I bought my second rental property. And so that was, almost 2 years after, or a year and a half after working. And then I realized I could refinance that property and buy another one. Well, all the while saving still our day job income, which saved a down payment every about 10 months. And then the rental income from each property went back into savings. And so it got to a point where I was saving more than 100% of my day job income because we were living on some of the rental property income. Both my wife and my salary, 100% saved. And we're working and we're saving and we're investing. I think we got 3 rental properties, then we got a 4th one. And at that point, the rental income is covering all of our living expenses because we're very focused on running things very efficiently and optimally. And so 100% of both of our salaries is being saved. And this is allowing us to build up this quite large base of this financial independence buffer. Bought another rental property, number 5, number 6, number 7. At number 8, the rental income portfolio was producing I think way more than we needed to live, like double what we were needing to live, and almost was replacing the day job income. So it got to the point where even if I wanted to, I could just quit the job and just rely on real estate. But we wanted to get to that 4% safe withdrawal rate. We wanted to actually be, by definition, not have to work for the rest of our lives. We wanted the passive income coming in to support us for the rest of our lives. And that was the key thing, is that, you know, we didn't want to have to work. We wanted to do things we enjoyed. And if those things we enjoyed, like I really enjoy sharing on YouTube and sharing on my blog and creating content and coaching and mentoring people. I do a lot of that today. I spend probably 40 hours a week doing that. Some people might call that a job, but I don't get paid really to do it. And I do it because I enjoy it, because I love it. And there's no reliance or dependence on it. And that's the nice thing. That's the beauty of being FIRE, is that you can do what you want with your life. And so that was the appeal. And that's a lot of, you know, the reasons why we did what we did. And by age 24, we'd had, I think, somewhere around 8 or 9 properties. This is 2017. So in February 2017, I quit the day job and I jumped into financial independence at 24 years of age. And my net worth was around 25 times my annual living expenses. Now today, I'm probably double or triple that. And I'm definitely like 2% safe withdrawal rate at 25 years of age today. It's fantastic. I really do recommend people reach out. If you're enjoying this, if you found there was some value in me sharing this, if you want to hear more of the in-depth details of how I renovated some of these properties, or how I ended up hospitalized because I was working so hard, 100-hour weeks, traveling for consulting, coming back, trying to get the promotion at work, because during those 3 years I grinded from 21 to 24, I started as an analyst, got promoted to senior analyst, and then again to manager. I worked very hard to keep up appearances in the corporate world while still secretly investing in real estate and building my stock portfolio. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter and a wife. We've been married almost 10 years now, so high school sweethearts. I am focused on my family first. So first family, then comes business. The third thing I love is personal finance and giving back. I do a lot of videos on YouTube and Facebook Live and Instagram Live, and I'm sharing posts all over the place on my blog. And I do a lot of communicating with people and mentoring with a lot of folks. And I do that because I love it. And because money isn't the most important thing in my life right now. I have more than I ever need. I have 50 years of living expenses set aside. My passive income is there no matter whether I get up for work or I don't. So what I do, I have to do with passion. And I have to love what I do. And I do love what I do. A lot of it is giving back. And I honestly do look for people who I can surround myself with who have a similar mission, who love to make money as a scoreboard, who want to build companies to have change and an impact on others' lives. And so that's been a big thing for me and a big focus. Today I've purchased over 30 properties, and I am the CEO of a company called Right Way Management, and we focus on managing properties for our investors and partnering with our investors. The thing that makes us different is that we actually control. We buy the property, we have the deal, we hand it over to the investor, we partner with the investor. The investor only brings the money and the financing. We manage everything from property management, tenant placement, renovations on the property to unlock and increase value on the properties. And what that's done is allow us to basically make investors a ton of money, as well as ourselves. We're building quite a sizable portfolio. What are the 3 secrets to my success? 1, I was embracing frugality like you wouldn't believe. 2, I embraced hard work. So I always worked 80 hours a week minimum. If you work 80 hours a week at minimum wage, you will still earn enough to reach financial independence. And 3, I invested very smartly. I was very astute with what I did with those savings. Now that mattered a lot more later in my journey than it did in the beginning of my journey. In fact, the first $100,000 in your net worth should mostly come from your saving. In fact, the start of your journey should be focused on frugality. And so I'm so thankful to be a part of this, a part of your lives, and I look forward to networking. Please smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and there's a little notification bell right beside the subscribe. I want you to hit that too, so you can get notifications when I drop new videos, and that way we can stay in touch. If you want to have a personal conversation with me, start in the comments with a question. I always answer every question on every YouTube video. Let me know if you want to see a different type of video. Happy to share there. Any type of content that you find valuable related to personal finance, real estate investing, the lifestyle, whatever. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram directly, it's at Mike Rosehart. If you want to find me on Facebook, again, Mike Rosehart. That is it, guys. Spend less, earn more, and maximize returns to unlock a wealthier you.